Hello, this is David Lorimer here. Today I'd like to talk about my love of JS Bach, which goes back to my mother, who was a very good pianist, and she had a Steinway Boudoir Grand, which we had in the drawing room. And she was able to play particularly the fugue in C minor from Book 2, which is really beautiful. And she had an LP collection, which included Bach for the piano, the organ, and the violin. And the piano was mainly Rosalyn Tureck, who was an extraordinary pianist and Bach scholar. And I heard her play in the Festival Hall and in the Salle Gaveau in Paris. And I have her 48 Preludes and Fugues, the Well-Tempered Clavier, it's called. And then the violin was Yehudi Menuhin and his performances of the violin concerto in D minor, the A minor, the E major. And then the organ was Albert Schweitzer, about whom I'm going to say more. But I've just come back from an extraordinary concert with Hélène Grimaud in Bologna, where, among other things, she played the Chaconne, Bach's Chaconne, which is a piano transcription of the sonata partita, in D minor for solo violin. And it's really a titanic work, and Hélène performed it in the most extraordinary manner. It was really quite an amazing experience. And this was a piece that Bach wrote after he came back in 1720, or he finalized it, and found that his wife had died in his absence. And so you can imagine the grief and sense of loss that he felt, which I think he then transmuted in this absolutely extraordinary piece. And I'll put the link below to Hélène's performance. And then just reverting to Yehudi Menuhin, my mother and I heard him play all the sonatas and partitas in the Younger Hall in St Andrews, and I think in about 1973. And that again was an extraordinary experience because he became one with the violin. And so there was no separate violinist with the violin. There was the violinist and the violin together. And it was really quite a spiritual experience. And so I find that Bach, particularly listening to his fugues, gives me a sense of reformatting the mind, if you like, bringing order into my thinking, into my feelings. And so I just get this sense of harmony and fulfillment, and I hope that you can perhaps acquire this too if you listen to Bach, or if you're a Bach lover already. And the great thing is, I think, that the better you know these pieces, the more exquisite it is to listen to them in your favorite rendering. So I'll talk in my next post a bit more about Albert Schweitzer and the organ music. Thanks for listening.